is thrown into the lake of fire. And you'll never ever live again. That's the second death, as we just read earlier. And the fire is a lot hotter than what we pretend to be. It will burn you up to where you never exist. And you go to Malachi 3:4, it says, the righteous will be standing on the ash of the soul, the feet of the unrighteous. The complete ashes. Just like that fire pit over there. So in this day now, every human being that ever lived, that decided to go ahead and walk with Yahweh through all the holidays we just went through, are now Elohim, are part of Yahweh's family. They're spirit beings now. And in this, in chapter 21 of Revelation, this is this day. This is the Shemeni Atzeret. This is the 8th day. This is the day we want to get to. We don't want to get to the millennium. We don't want to get to Shavuot. We don't want to get to Passover. We want to get to Shemini Atzeret. By these whole 7 festivals, you want to get to this last one here. And it says, I saw a renewed heaven and a renewed earth. That's what happened in the beginning. That's what happened in Genesis chapter 1. Yahweh renewed the sky and he renewed the earth. For the former heaven and the former earth has passed away, and there's no more sea. The interesting thing here is not that there's no more ocean, there's no more turmoil, because this same word yom is the word for chaos. So there's no more sea. Remember, sea of people, we use that expression. Remember, Revelation is a book of sod. 99% of it is just sod. So all
it's not the ocean.
It's not the ocean itself. It's a sea of chaotic people. Nothing. Society, the whole system. There's no more.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah, Yahweh has no problem with oceans.
Right.
It's there been. I mean, because the Ruach is water. You know.
That makes so much more sense.
You know.
That's what I always believed. That's so funny. Because John and I just had that conversation today, and I said, I think the sea is talking about is the sea of people, and he said, oh no, it's because we didn't have an ocean in the beginning, and it was because of the flood and everything.
No, the whole world was an ocean.
I said, I don't know. I think it means the sea of people. We just had this conversation. Wow.
Yeah. The whole Genesis chapter 1, in Yahweh's metaphor, the whole ocean was around the whole earth. He had to bring the land out of the ocean. He has no problem with water. He is water. Water of life.
So John thinks that there was more land, and then after the flood, there was less land. And I said, I don't know.
Yeah, there is no land at all. There used to be land. Yahweh is all covered with water, and then he dried up some, so to speak. He raised up the dirt.
So is there less land than there was before the flood?
I don't know. All I know is that
it's changed. Some land's underwater.
Let's put it this way: in order to have water, you got to have land, because that's the vessel that it holds into. So when you have underwater, you have land under it. So you really got an equal amount, so to speak, in a certain way of looking at it. But in here, when Yahweh's talking, there's no more chaos. Remember the chaotic waters? We got that moving water right here. That's chaos, a symbol of chaos, a symbol of woman having a baby. Chaos is a symbol of tribulation. Remember, tribulation is a symbol of woman having a baby. And so for the former heaven and former earth has passed away, and there's no more sea, there's no more chaos. And I, Yachanan, saw the set-apart city, renewed Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven. It's not staying in heaven. Yahweh's Jerusalem, the true Jerusalem, comes down here to earth. So heaven's on earth. I don't know why the other way around. But remember, in paganism, they teach that you go to heaven. You go to these stars. And Yahweh just the opposite. Yahweh says, I'm coming down here because it's a great place. And Psalms tells you that the earth was made to be inhabited for Olam, forever. So he says, John says, saw the set-apart city, renewed Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And that true heaven, that true Jerusalem is you. Jerusalem is a female. It's the congregation of Yahweh, the picture of Israel. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, see, that the tabernacle, the sukkah of Elohim, is with men. And men here is the word ish. Where in the scripture does it describe Yahweh as an ish? Because these are not men of physicality.
An ish of war.
Yes. And where is that?
I don't remember where it's at.
It's in Miriam's song. Yahweh is an ish. An ish is not a physical man. A true ish is a spiritual man. Made out of spirit. We're not talking about carbon. We're talking about spirit. Just like Yahweh has a nephesh, Yahweh also is an ish. A spirit ish. we as an ish are just a physical representation of what the true one is. So there is no physical human beings living on this planet. This is Revelation 21:22. This is Shemeni Atzeret. All humans that are going to be Elohim are Elohim, and there's a lot more numbers than what it pretends to be. It's the stars of the heaven, the sand of the sea. And he says, see, the tabernacle, the sukkah of Yahweh is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Elohim himself shall be with them and be their Elohim. And to have this experience, you're going to have to be Elohim to handle this particular thing. What? And Elohim shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death. So there can't be any human beings. Because of one big thing, you can see why. There's no more mourning, there's no more crying, and there will be no more pain, for the former matters have passed away. All that's gone. He's telling you. And he who was sitting on the throne said, see, I make all matters renewed. And he said to me, write, for these words are true and trustworthy. He said to me, it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega. In the Greek is the Aleph. That's the Greek, and the Aleph Tav is in Hebrew. And the beginning and the end. To the one who thirsts I shall give the fountains of the waters of life without payment. The one who overcomes shall inherit all this. Overcome what? That in itself shows you there's some effort we have to portray. Because overcoming is about resisting something, about going up on something. Huh?
Our desires.
Yeah, our desires. Our nefesh. It says, and I shall be his Elohim, and he will be my son. If you're going to be Yahweh's son now, literally you're going to be his son. You're going to be just like he is. That's what John tells you, or Peter tells you. I don't know what it's going to be like. It will be like he is. Spirit beings. But as for the cowardly, the untrustworthy, the abominable, the murderers, those who hoard drugs, sorcerers, and this here, if you see this word in the Septuagint, it's people that are filled with the desires and the confusion and the teachings of individuals. And I know the biggest thing that people hang on is drugs. But if you take it to where Isaiah is using, he's not talking about taking cocaine. He's not talking about taking it. In the mystery world of paganism, they use some drugs to go ahead and induce a sense of euphoria to get involved in a lifestyle that is antithesis of Yahweh. But the big thing is that the teaching is the bigger drug than the drug itself. But we have people that take this from the literal sense because, again, Revelation is mostly sewed. They take it as somebody taking the medicine from the doctor. We have Yahweh walkers that condemn people for taking the medicine from the doctors. Because of the way they take this verse. Not knowing if they go back to the Septuagint and take this same word and says, oh, false teachings. He's not talking about taking an aspirin. There are people that teach in the Yahweh movement. When they read this passage and they see this thing, drug sorceries, if you look up this word, they take it as you take medicine from your doctor. If you don't get it directly from that tree, then all medicines are made from trees, either synthetically or case may be. They say, they tell you, you lost your salvation. You're relying on this medicine. And they said this is drug sorcery because his list here, it says, and the drug sorcerers, these are the ones that are experiencing the second death. So they condemn everybody that's taking their medicine from their doctor. But if you look at this word and take it back to where Isaiah uses it, he's not talking about taking cocaine or a bare aspirin or whatever medication for your
blood pressure,
diabetes or blood pressure, whatever case. I can't even name any drugs. And they say all these people, you're going to hell in a handbasket. And that's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So he says, and idolaters, all false, their part is in the lake which burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death. Again, Yahweh's re-emphasizing that only person here with Yahweh now, this last holiday, is all those that have made the grade. They have trusted Yahweh and all that means, and they're all there. And there's hundreds of millions and billions of people that are there on this earth. And whatever few of this nomenclature, they're gone. They're toast. They're ashes of souls, the feet of the righteous. Malachi 3:4. And one of the seven messengers who held the seven bowls filled with the seven last plagues, came to me and spoke with me, saying, Come, I shall show you the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away into the spirit to the great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the set apart Jerusalem. Remember, we talked about what that is, the way. Descending out of heaven from Elohim. Again, descending out of heaven from Elohim. Having the honor of Elohim, and her light was of the most precious stone, like a jasper. So this is describing her dress. This is describing you, the wife. Having a great and high wall. And you see this wall being talked about in the Song of Solomon. She says, I'm a wall. The woman says, I'm a wall. Having 12 gates, and the gate of 12 messengers. And remember we tell you that Yahweh's house is a female house. The tent that Abraham dwelled in, it doesn't change. And it says the gates of the 12 messengers, and the name was written on them, which were those of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And one of those tribes is called God. There's nothing wrong with that word. There's never ever been wrong with that word. The word means a tree, cutting down a tree. It talks about a warrior, and so forth. Yes, other nations have that word and use it for something else, but the word God itself has never been nothing wrong with it. Remember, Yahweh describes manna as God. The word coriander, take away the English, it's the word God. So obviously, the word, like all Hebrew words, they're a conjunctive. They have a positive and a negative. And in our language, God means supreme being. So it's not even addressing Hebrew. It's not even addressing paganism. It's addressing that in our language, God means a powerful person, a powerful, almighty, whatever you're using to address. He continues on, he says, in verse 11, having the honor of Elohim, and her light was like the, we read that already. Verse 13, 3 gates on the east side, and 3 gates on the north side, and 3 gates on the south, and 3 gates on the west. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them were the names of the 12 apostles, or 12 sent ones of the Lamb. And he spoke with me, and had a golden measuring rod to measure the city, and its gates and its walls. Remember, this is a picture of the wife. It's a picture of you. And the city lies 4 corners, and its length is great as the breadth. And when we're thinking about this, we're thinking about these measurements when Yahweh's he's building his wife. Remember, Hawa, what we call her Eve, she was built. Adam was not built. The wife was built. You see the Hebrew word there, banah. And he measured the walls of the city, 65 meters according to the measure of man, that is of the messenger. And the structure of the wall was jasper, and the city was of clean gold. And you're going to see more gold here in this city, or temple, same difference, than the previous buildings. As you see Yahweh's temple, you get more gold, which is more divinity. The fountains on the walls of the city was adorned with all kinds of precious stones. The first foundation, jasper, sapphire. The third, agate. The fourth, emerald. The fifth, sardonyx. The sixth, ruby. The seventh, crystallite. The eighth, beryl. And the ninth, topaz. And the 10th, chrysoprase. The 11th, jasper. And the 12th, amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. And each of the gates was a single pearl. And the city was clean gold. The whole city's gold, not just the temple itself. Like a transparent glass. Again, remember, this is his wife. I know we picture a city, but Yahweh wants you to picture his wife. It's no difference when we, in that song in the 70s, says, you know, the lady is a brick house. You know, it's a compliment. The woman looks real good and this, that, and the other. Well, Yahweh has his own version. He has all these lustrous stones and so forth. And he says, verse 22, and I saw no dwelling place in it, for Yahweh El Shaddai is the dwelling place and the Lamb. In order for you to have Yahweh the Father there, you cannot be human. Why? Because you cannot behold him and live. So everybody here has to be Elohim. Everybody here has to be spirit. Otherwise they die. On that alone. So when it says Yahweh's living with men in verse 3, it has to be individuals that are Elohim now, that are spirit beings. You can't have it any other way. And the city had no need of the sun nor the moon. It doesn't mean that the sun and the moon do not exist, but remember, Yahweh produces his own light. The stars and all of them are still there. But if you were there, if you could project yourself there, just the mere fact that the light of Yahweh and of course everybody else is so bright that it's like you don't even need the sun and the moon because the lights already exist on the earth. The city had no need of the sun nor the moon to shine in it, for the honor of Elohim lightened it, and the Lamb in his lamp. And the nations, you remember, Israel's both It's called a Gentile because it's a nation. So a nation has a connotation. It can be positive or negative. And the nation of those who are rescued. Remember, there's a nation of Israel and there's the other nations. Remember, a kingdom is the kingdom of Rome. It was Italy, and all the other nations of the world are not Rome. They're not Italy, but they are part of his kingdom, and they're all, citizenship. Likewise, Yahweh. You have Israel, and all those nations that are part of the kingdom are in the kingdom of Israel. They're not Israel specifically. Likewise here, the nation of those who were rescued shall walk in the light, and the kings of the earth shall bring their honor. Because remember, there's kings and priests in Israel. There's kings and priests, or kings also in the nations. And the gate shall not be shut at all by day, for night there shall be none there. And they bring their honor and their appreciation of the nations into it. And there shall by no means enter into it whatever is unclean. There's no unclean. The Torah doesn't disappear. Neither anyone doing abomination or falsehood, but only those written in the Lamb's book of life. So again, it reinforces the fact there's no human beings there. There's no uncleanness there because everybody now is on the same sheet of music.